Hi, welcome. I'm with Dr. Christy Camilla today at Humane Society Silicon Valley. She's our Chief of Shelter Medicine here. And thank you for watching our Facebook Live about Canine Influenza Virus, also known as CIV. We're going to be talking about a few things today: what Canine Influenza Virus is, the signs and symptoms, the treatments, how CIV spreads, the prevention of CIV, and then also what we're doing at Humane Society Silicon Valley to protect our shelter animals. Thank you, Dr. Camilla. So first up, what is CIV?
So CIV is canine influenza. It is a virus that's very highly contagious, and it is a virus found in dogs. It is a new virus to this area. It's been around for a few years in the US, but in the South Bay in particular, in our area, this is the very first time that we've been seeing it. We first heard of it right around the holidays, and it's been running through pretty rapidly throughout the South Bay and sort of creeping up the peninsula into the other parts of the Bay Area.
Great, and how is there a seasonal piece, the way with human flu, is there, a seasonal element to CIV?
So CIV is different from human flu, where there is no seasonality. Again, this is the very first time we're seeing it, so we're not quite sure how it's going to behave. In other areas of the country, it comes and goes, and you never see it again. And other places, it sticks around for a while, and so we're not quite sure what it's going to do here in the Bay Area. We're just keeping an eye on it.
Definitely. And are there different strains of CIV, and what one is, if any, are in the Bay Area?
So there are two known strains. One is called H3N2, which is it's an older strain that's been seen in the different parts of the country in the past. We have not seen that here lately. That's not the virus of concern. What is more of a concern, and the strain that has been diagnosed in the Bay Area, is the H3N2 virus.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And how long has it been in the area?
As far as we know, we believe it probably got here right around the holidays.
Oh, okay.
And that's just based on the veterinary clinics that have been diagnosing it, some doggy daycare centers that have been closed down because of it, so they can go through and clean and such.
Get back up in shape.
Yes.
Up and running. All right, so what are some of the signs and symptoms? What are signs that my dog might have the flu?
So for the vast majority of dogs affected by canine influenza, it's going to be like a cold, sort of like a cold in people. You're going to see some coughing, some runny nose, they might be feeling under the weather, they might have a loss of appetite. For some dogs, you won't see anything at all. They might be affected with the virus but not show any symptoms. And there will also be a small percentage of dogs who are affected by canine influenza that can progress to pneumonia, requiring hospitalization with potentially life-threatening signs.
So really talk to your vet.
So yes.
So the next question, what should I do if my dog seems sick or I suspect something?
So if your dog is looks sick or seems sick, definitely contact your veterinarian. And that's the first thing you want to do, is contact your veterinarian, get an appointment to see them, and also keep your dogs away from other dogs. CIV is very highly contagious, and just being in the vicinity of being in the same room, you can potentially get other dogs sick. So you don't want that to happen. And so isolating your own dog is pretty important.
So in terms of, you were talking earlier about how it can progress, it can become serious. So how dangerous is CIV? It's more in the spread, or?
So the biggest concern with CIV is that it's a new virus to this area, which means most dogs have never seen it. And because they've never seen this virus, they're going to be susceptible to it. And if they're exposed to it, there's a very high chance they're going to catch it. And that's part of the reason that we want to make sure you isolate your dog, because it is very, very highly contagious.
And how long does the flu last if they do get it?
So for most dogs that do get the flu, within a couple of weeks, with treatment, they'll recover. And treatment usually involves antibiotics from your veterinarian to And sometimes there are co-infections, or there might be a bacterial component in addition to the virus. And so that's definitely something you want to talk to your veterinarian about if you think your dog has the flu. And for the dogs that are hospitalized, it may take longer. It may take a few weeks. It just depends on the dog. Yeah. But for a lot of dogs, it'll just be a few days of resting and, no rough play or anything like that, and they should be right back up to where they were.
Great. And so now in terms of treatment, you said, where do you go when you have the flu? Go to your vet.
Go to your
right?
vet, yes. Yes,
your vet
definitely.
knows your pet.
Yes.
Great. And then anything else that you'd want to say around treatment of the flu at all, that besides rest?
So what we do know about the canine influenza virus, and the H3N2 in particular, is that they can start spreading the virus before they actually show signs of illness. And so a few days before they even look sick, they can still be contagious. And even once they recover, they can still potentially be spreading the virus. And so even after your dog has recovered from canine influenza, you definitely want to keep them isolated, keep them home for at least a couple of weeks, because they can still be contagious even after they've recovered.
Yes, thinking about how it spreads easily.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
So actually, can people or other types of my pets or animals get CIV at all?
So for this particular strain of canine influenza, there has been absolutely no reports of people getting sick from it. And canine influenza in general is not contagious to people. There have been some reports where cats could potentially get CIV from dogs. We have not seen it yet here, but that is something to keep in mind in case you do have cats with your in your household that has canine influenza. So if you do have house cats and a dog with canine influenza, you want to make sure that there's some separation there. But as of yet, we haven't heard any cases of canine influenza affecting cats in this area.
Great. And you were talking a little bit earlier about keeping your dog indoors, get vaccinated. Are there common places where my dog could get the flu that I go to? We're really social and outgoing here with our dogs in California.
Yeah, so many of our dogs here have pretty robust social lives. And these are the dogs that will, come into contact with a lot of different dogs in different areas, different settings, like dog parks and, boarding facilities, doggy daycares, grooming salons. And these are the types of places where there's a high number of dogs together, where there's a potential for spread. And this is really important in protecting not only your dog, but dogs of that belong to other people too. And so definitely, if you have a sick dog, don't take them to these busy places, because you can spread the virus to other dogs.
Exactly. And talked a little earlier about, we just want to make sure we're really clear about how long your dog is typically contagious with the flu.
So there have been a few reports where some dogs are contagious for up to a month from the time they get sick. So definitely, you keep that in mind. And so even if they take a couple of weeks to recover, you want to make sure that you keep them isolated for an additional couple of weeks.
And if my dog does get diagnosed with the flu, how long will it be before I can take them back out and again they can resume their social
I would wait about a month, to be safe. There are tests that you can run at your veterinarian, and that'll give you information of whether or not your dog is still shedding. So that is an option if you can't wait that entire month.
And shedding means, you talked a little earlier.
So shedding just means shedding the virus just means they're contagious.
Great, good to know. It's good to know the terms and what people are talking about. And now in terms of prevention, can I get my dog vaccinated against the flu?
Yes. There is a vaccine there's a vaccine against canine influenza, and the vaccines contain protection against the two different strains of canine influenza. It is a 2-shot series, so you can't just go in and get one shot and expect to be protected. It is a 2-shot series, so you get your first shot, wait 2 to 4 weeks, get the second shot, And then about a week or two after that second shot, your dog is deemed protected.
Mm.
And one thing to keep in mind about the canine influenza vaccine, that it's not going to prevent infection. And so it's similar to the human flu vaccine, where it may or may not prevent you from getting the virus and getting infected and, becoming sick from it. But what it will do is it will decrease the severity of the disease if your dog gets it, and it'll decrease the shedding time. So there is a lot of protection, and there is some value in getting the flu vaccine, but just remember, it may not protect the disease in every dog.
But it's important to get the shot. It's important for your
Yes.
own dogs.
For your own dogs, and the protection of other dogs too.
Great. And as you said, so the vaccination series protects your dog against both strains of the flu, you said?
Yes.
So the one that was present and the one isn't present right now. Great. And where can I get my dog vaccinated?
So you can contact your local veterinarian, ask them if they have it available, and another option is here at HSSV through our medical center and our walk-in vaccine clinic. We do offer the canine influenza vaccine.
Great, that's wonderful that people can take advantage of that in the
Yes.
community. So, actually focusing on HSSV, what is Humane Society Silicon Valley doing to protect animals in our care? Do we have any known cases of CIV?
So we do not have any known cases of CIV in our facility, and we have taken some measures in order to protect our dogs, to protect both the dogs that belong to our staff and our volunteers, and also our foster dogs and our shelter dogs. So we did start vaccinating about 2 weeks ago. We started vaccinating all of our staff dogs and foster dogs and the shelter dogs, and we've implemented some vaccine requirements, and so staff, if they want to bring their dogs to work, it'll be required to be vaccinated. Our dog park is closed for the time being, and we will be requiring a full series in order for dogs to come back to the dog park, as well as for grooming.
All right,
Yes.
gotta make sure everybody's safe.
Yes.
And we haven't seen any negative impact
Yes.
from the dogs that have been vaccinated. We've
Yes.
vaccinated quite a few so far.
We have vaccinated quite a few dogs, and we have not seen any adverse reactions or any negative effects.
Sure. And so, for the community, we're offering low cost vaccines, no appointment, just, walk in
just
for a
walk
medical
in.
appointment, which is great. And do you have any idea of when the outbreak might end?
Well, we're hoping it ends soon, but we're not quite sure again. What HSSV is doing, we're collecting data from the local veterinarians. We're collecting data on who's affected, who's positive, who's negative, and trying to create a timeline. We're also working with different universities to also do some testing, and also to do some sequencing and figuring out what strain are we dealing with.
And always learn.
Yeah, we know that we're dealing with H3N2, but we want to know what strain of that particular
All
strain.
the nuances.
Yes, if that makes any if that makes any sense at all. And so we want to know, exactly. What we're hoping is that we can find out where this virus came from. Is it one of the viruses that has been circulating around the country, or is it a new virus that just recently entered the U.S.? We're not quite sure yet, and so we're hoping to find some answers.
Always looking to the local community, but also broader, that
Yes.
we keep everybody as healthy as possible.
Yes. One of our goals is to protect our dogs, not only in our shelter, but in our community too.
That's great. Thank you. Well, remember, you can always visit hssv.org to rewatch this video, and for more information, we'll be updating on CIV as well at hssv.org/CIV. Thank you, Dr. Camilla, and
Sure.
thank you, everyone, for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.